Hey everybody, we are in Holden, and we're here with another edition of the Holden Pattern, brought to you by Brilla Coffee Roasters and Lamoureux Ford. And we're talking with the Chief of Police, Tim Sherblum. And Tim, welcome to your office.
Thank you.
Tim, so much goes on in Holden that people hear about all over the town, all over the region, because Holden is really one of the main bedroom communities of Worcester, but it certainly has a life of its own. Talk a little bit about the Holden Police Department, how big the department is, and I know you've got some exciting news as well. So tell us a little bit about the town of Holden.
Okay, well, first off, I grew up here, born and raised. I went through all the public schools in Holden. So I've been here my entire life, with the exception of when I went away for a few years in the military. When I came back, I had an interest in police work, and I took the civil service exam, and I've been here for 20 years. So I've worked my way up through the ranks from patrolman to sergeant to lieutenant, and now I'm the chief of police going on almost 3 years. Department size-wise, we have 25 full-time officers that we're currently slotted for. It's certainly been a challenge filling those positions, but we're hopeful in the next couple of months we'll have all of those 25 full-time positions filled. And we also have one reserve officer left, which he's helpful in filling some shifts that we can't fill otherwise. So that's our full complement on the police side of things. We're also, we host the Regional Dispatch Center for the towns of Holden, Rutland, Paxton, and Princeton, with all the dispatchers that goes along with that. We have currently 12 or 13 full-time dispatchers, along with some part-time help there as well. So we're busy.
We're busy. Now, unlike Auburn, where you don't have to answer to responses on the Pike or 290 or anything like that, there's still a lot of traffic that goes through Holden, especially through the center of town. Rutland keeps growing and growing, and its traffic flow always comes through town. Any other challenges that you see in the coming years as the marketplace continues to grow and flourish?
Growth. I've seen in the last probably 10 years the town of Holden grow. We're upwards of 20,000 people if we're not right now. We soon will be, and we have some more developments coming into town. Continuous growth in the surrounding communities, which of course increases traffic issues. Holden's always been notorious for having traffic problems in certain hours of the day, certainly in the morning and then in the evening. So, traffic is always a challenge, and I don't see it probably improving anytime soon. If not, it's probably going to get a little bit worse. But.
You know, there's so many TV shows, cop shows on TV today. Do they depict real life, or are those made for TV situations? Because so many people have probably an incorrect view of what goes on in the day-to-day life of a police officer.
Yeah, so those shows, the biggest thing with those shows is there's constantly something going on. And that's not reality. In a town like Holden, we can be really busy one day and have multiple different calls for service, and then there can be a 2 or 3 day stretch where we don't have much activity. My police officers are proactive. They're out there in the neighborhoods. They're looking for things, but there's just some days that are busier than others. And I know on those shows there's always something that's happening, and that's not reality.
Mm-hmm. And I know you've got some interesting news. You've got new cruisers. They look different. You've got a dog.
Yes.
Right? Or what? Is that the proper word, or should I use canine?
Canine.
Canine. Okay. And there's also this accreditation thing that I want you to just tell us a little bit about, because I think that's very important. So why don't you start with the cruiser, then the dog, and then the accreditation?
So we have some new cruisers. We're switching from Ford Explorer type cruisers to Chevy Tahoes, and there were several reasons why we made the switch. In my opinion, the Chevy's a better vehicle. There's a lot more room. There's a lot more room in the back for the prisoners to get them in and out safely, so that played a huge role in that. We have a new canine unit. One of my goals when I took over as chief was to make the department as self-sufficient as possible. And one of the big things that I wanted to get was a canine unit. And so we have a dog that's trained in patrol work, that's trained in tracking, and trained in narcotics. And as everybody knows, narcotics is especially fentanyl and heroin and that stuff that's certainly in this area. I wanted an asset like that canine that could help us find that stuff and remove it from our town and our community. So I'm happy about the canine unit. The accreditation is a huge thing for us. I'll just briefly go over what it is. It's basically the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission oversees this, and it's a voluntary process that departments undertake. It's rigorous and it requires a lot of work and effort, and it's basically we're holding ourselves to the highest possible standards and best practices in law enforcement. So we were able to receive full accreditation status from the commission recently, and we're one of only 5 or 6 communities in Central Mass to reach that designation. So something I'm very proud of, and all the credit in the world goes to Lieutenant Chris Noyes and Sergeant Greg Sculthorpe for undertaking this arduous process and getting us through it, and I'm very pleased that we were awarded that.
Last question is this. You're one of the few communities in the Commonwealth that also have a state police barracks located within your town. Is there a confusion factor with MSP and Holden PD? Is it good to see that number of police vehicles in town? Does it keep the bad guys away because they know they're never far from a cruiser?
I think it's, first of all, I think the Holden Police Department's reputation, going back many years before I came on, was such that it deterred criminal element from coming into Holden. And I think it continues today. I think the officers on this department are very proactive. They're out looking for things. They're not just sitting in their cruisers. They're out there proactively stopping cars and deterring a criminal element from coming into town. Having the state police in town is not a bad thing. We worked very well with them. Obviously, they're a much bigger organization. They have a lot of resources we can tap into if we need to. So it's not a bad thing to have them in town. I think we've tried to maintain an excellent working relationship with them, and we'll continue to do so.
Great. We want to thank you so much for taking time
All right.
from your busy day.
Thank you.
To be with us here on the Holden Pattern. See, that's the new name of the show, the Holden Pattern.
I like it.
And we want to thank Lamro Ford and Brilla Coffee Roasters for sponsoring it. And Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.